Former President Donald Trump is milling around Mar-a-Lago and is complaining. He's doing a lot of complaining. Not much new for him, but he's complaining now about Ron DeSantis to anyone that'll listen to him, because he's upset that Ron DeSantis hasn't yet fully told everyone that he's not gonna run for president if Trump decides to in 2024. I just wanna harken back to that bet. Anyways.
Wait, what bet?
JR and I bet. He's crazy. He thinks Trump's not gonna run for president. So what am I gonna take off you, JR? $100? Is that
yeah, you're gonna pay me $100. That's what it was.
Yeah, okay.
So in this now, he's complaining about Ron DeSantis with a little bit too much popularity because he's afraid. Anyways, from Politico, they have some details from Politico's playbook. They did point out these things that are going on behind the scenes there. Trump has told his advisors that DeSantis privately assured him that he won't run if Trump does. But that's not enough for the former president. He wants DeSantis to say it publicly, to say it in public, at least that is. And Trump has even suggested that DeSantis shouldn't underestimate his Democratic challenger, Charlie Crist, calling him a killer. So he wants to make sure that, well, first off, he's complaining to everyone around that sees him. Ron DeSantis better focus on his race with Charlie Crist and not focus on me. Somehow he's taking this as a threat because he's just kind of getting popular off being you. But anyway, Charlie Crist is a killer. Make sure you focus on him, don't focus on me. He also one guest suspects that Trump's gripes are so frequent because he's planting them in hopes that they'll get back to DeSantis. Trust me, they have, especially by now. Politico's talking about it. Trump aides are starting to feel pressure also to pick sides in this whole fight. Now, he's made it known that he didn't appreciate that former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows traveled to Beverly Hills for a DeSantis fundraiser in June. You know who was also in attendance was Trump's pal and casino magnate Steve Wynn, former Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. And then this is now Mark Meadows went on to Orange County, where he introduced DeSantis to other deep-pocketed donors. This is getting serious. So in a statement to Playbook, a spokesman, of course, this is the most predictable thing you can ever think of. A spokesman for Trump called this reporting, quote, fake news. So he's a little worried. Just saying, he's a little worried about what DeSantis is doing. This has been an ongoing thing. We've seen about straw polls that happened, and then DeSantis did too well in them, and Ron DeSantis is just kind of being who he is, and Trump is threatened.
Yeah, Trump's amazing, man, and it's also amazing that Republican voters picked the weakest guy in the world to look up to as the alpha male, right? So DeSantis might run. He did slightly well in a poll against me. Like, you know what Trump does? He does power crying. Like, not like a little light crying, like real power crying. So this is the DeSantis ad where he was teaching his baby how to be more like Trump, okay? That's how much up Donald Trump's ass DeSantis is. And Trump thinks, not far enough. I want you in my bowels, okay? And you knelt at my feet in private, but I need you to do it in public and humiliate yourself the way Lindsey Graham has, Mike Pence has, everybody has.
Nikki Haley, right? Did she do it too?
Yeah, of course. They all say, oh yeah, well, Trump is a little problematic when he threatened to murder his vice president. And then they're like, sorry, no, it's totally fine, totally fine. Look, that's what a real leader does, including Mike Pence. He's like, oh, we had a slight disagreement when I was almost murdered, but everything's fine now, right? So he's trying to get DeSantis to kneel and grovel. I'm looking forward to it. Either way, fun for us. Lance.
Well, I was also going to bring up, like, you're saying that Trump always demands like the fiercest loyalty from like everyone who works for him, and that, like, I totally agree with you. That's totally true. But like, I could even joke about this one. I would be more scared of DeSantis than I would of Donald Trump running, or at least even winning, because Trump, for everything, is riddled with so many legal problems right now, so much infighting. He's like, I know it's the Trump brand. That's basically what the Republican Party has become, and DeSantis kind of like took that over. But DeSantis, everything put aside, still seems a lot more competent at his job than, say, Donald Trump is. So when it came down to it, I would be more fearful of someone who's more effective at being a politician as a Republican than I would of the Trump train.
I think it's pretty obvious that behind the scenes, not many Republicans like Donald Trump. Look what happened in 2015 when he announced he was running. It wasn't like all of these Republicans were like, oh yes, Donald Trump. They said he's a fool, he's a bad father, he's not a real Republican because he's buddies with the Clintons, all that stuff. He's a New Yorker like the rest of these immoral New Yorkers. They hated him. Everything he did that was actually working with their racist base, they were trying to push back on. And they've just, after it worked, they're like, oh, we're all on board. support. So I feel like Ron DeSantis is still listening to the voices behind the scenes that are like, we need one person that's gonna do something about this because we can't take another Donald Trump. I don't think the Republican Party wants Donald Trump to run again. They'll take it if they think it'll help them win, but then they have to deal with him more. They'd rather deal with a kind of Donald Trump in Ron DeSantis than dealing with the actual Donald Trump, but they can't say it out loud, and neither can Ron DeSantis.
Well, I'm gonna have an ironic agreement with JR, and I'm actually going to disagree with Lance. So now let's have fun, okay?
I thought I was gonna get an unironic agreement.
No agreement for you. Look, the ironic agreement with JR is yes, of course, the Republican politicians, they want someone who is more stable, who isn't going to ask them to lick his boots 24/7, who isn't going to humiliate and degrade them nonstop, and who's just gonna go back to business as usual. Remember when we all had a fun time? We'd go take our orders from corporations and our owner donors would tell us what to do. It was such a simple life, it was a good life. We were all powerful and the corporate media would cover for us and CNN would say, I can't tell who's right or wrong. Now everybody's a pain in our ass. Trump has kind of gone in there and pissed off everybody so much that they're even calling us out sometimes. Sometimes we even get caught in our corruption. So this is a real pain in the ass. And now we all used to share power, but now Trump wants all the power for himself. Yes, so the Republican elites, leaders, etc., they've never wanted Trump and they don't want Trump now. And by the way, that's part of his appeal. He is really good at being a fake populist. And one of the ways you could be a fake populist is you hit everybody in power, and then you turn around and you give everybody the donors everything they want anyway, right? That's the fake part. Notice that one of the things that Trump is most mad at, Mark Meadows introduced DeSantis to the rich donors. He's like, no, the rich donors' bribes are for me. I take all the bribes. Why? Because he's a mob boss, right? I don't want the money going to the capo, I want to go to me, okay? I don't want anybody dipping into my till. And so, oh my God, this guy's getting a piece of the corruption action. The guy, Trump ran out, drained the swamp. And then look at him, like the minute, he's like, oh, he's going after the people who do the bribes. I want the bribes. So Trump's such a monster, No. Look, Lance, you're totally wrong, okay? You get a regular, like I take a Marco Rubio type over a Trump a billion times, okay? For two reasons. And now DeSantis is somewhere between Rubio and Trump, but no one's like Trump, with the possible exception of Tucker Carlson. So since Trump has no ethics, no morality, no empathy, complete and utter narcissist, he doesn't care about the country at all. He doesn't care about the Republican Party. He doesn't care about the voters. He doesn't care about anyone but Trump. And then when you load up all of his legal troubles, financial troubles, that gives him an enormous incentive to go, well, the justice system is annoying me by trying to catch me on my crimes. I'm done with the justice system. This whole losing election things is annoying me, so I'm done with elections.
Yeah.
He would end democracy so quick. He tried last time. He considered a coup. He didn't mind the hang Mike Pence chant. We did that story earlier today. That's violence against his own vice president. I can go on and on. Whereas DeSantis is closer to a regular politician. If DeSantis went in and ended democracy, I would be relatively surprised. So the regular right wing, that's a monster we can beat. But if they end elections, we can't undo that. So Trump is definitely the most dangerous. I'd much rather have DeSantis win.
The only thing I want to say on that though is that I think Joe Biden was effectively elected not so much that people were inspired by Joe Biden in the same way they were inspired by, say, like Barack Obama, like, vote for change, vote for hope kind of stuff. It was like, I'm not Donald Trump. Like things are so messed up right now. You vote for me, we're gonna change course and do that. And unfortunately, so far, I haven't seen Joe Biden delivering on so many of the things that are gonna be essential for like the American people, right? Like a $15 minimum wage, paid family leave, those kind of things. So if the argument is going to be that he's going to go up against yet another Trump, then I almost feel like Joe Biden's ready for that kind of like, well, you don't want that again. You don't want this terrible thing again. Whereas I'd still feel that DeSantis would be more effective politically. But that's just the Canadians' opinion.
No, Lance, I agree with that part. But the problem is, I already think that Biden has such a low chance of winning. The question is, which Republican are we gonna get? Are we gonna get a full-blown fascist, a semi-fascist, or just a normal corporate Republican who's corrupt? Like the kind that we've lived with our whole lives, right? And so Biden is doing none of his promises, and he thinks the genius idea is to blame his own side and his own voters and his own base. That is loser 101. And the other thing is, be careful what you wish for. You think that Trump has a lower chance of winning. I don't even agree with that. I think Trump is the best at fake populism, and he's definitely the best at hitting the establishment. And so if you run a corporate Democrat against a populist, you're gonna lose 99 out of 100 times. And Biden already got the one win, okay, against Trump, because Trump was so monstrous that he wound up losing. But remember, he only lost by 43,000 votes in 3 states. It was a razor thin victory for Joe Biden. I'd never take that chance again.
Yeah. The fear from Trump with running, in my opinion, isn't that he's worried about losing to a Joe Biden. He's worried about losing to like the hearts and minds within the party that's gonna help propel him, because he is absolutely obsessed with how much support am I getting? Are you still backing me? How come you didn't back me more on January 6th? How come you didn't back me more on this? How come you didn't back me more on Ukraine? How come you didn't back? He needs all this support, because if one person says something off, his ego is so fragile that as soon as one person dissents, he's like, okay, I gotta attack him. Look at the was it 10 to 12 Republicans that voted for the second impeachment? He's like, I gotta get all of them, every one of them. Lisa Murkowski just announced that she's gonna run again, and that was like the headline was, she stands up against Trump and says she's gonna run again because the rest of them are just leaving like losers. That's the battle is within the Republican Party here. Once he gets that, he's happy.
Yeah, so last thing guys, DeSantis now has a choice. Either he's gonna bend a knee or he's gonna fight Trump. Well, both are not so bad, because every politician that bends a knee to Donald Trump signals to their voters, I'm a beta, I'm weak, and I'm here to just take this guy's orders. He's the real man, and I'm just the weakest person you've ever met. So they're humiliating themselves. So that's a fun outcome for a guy who I loathe, DeSantis. Or they fight. That's a really good outcome. So Trump, keep going, brother. Let's see how that turns out.
But then in that metaphor, who's the Sigma male? That's what I'd want to know.
I've lost track, man. I don't know who the Omega is. I don't know. Okay, all I know is they think they for some reason they think an alpha male cries all day, all night. I am very strong. Oh, they took the election from me. They want to burn me publicly. Okay, if that's your version of strength, have at it, Hoss. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.